Supergirl number 12, written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson, art by Mahmoud Asrar. Last issue left off with the Silver Banshee and her family, and Supergirl was like, "No, I have to be alone. I can't put you in danger." And she flies away. And then this issue opens up with her immediately not being alone because she went to go visit Superman in his Fortress of Solitude, which is in the Arctic, and they make a specific point of, wait a minute, that's not what's in continuity right now. And then they say, check out Action Comics 13 in order to see what happens. So that one hasn't been released yet, so we'll get there. Anyway, they're looking at the bottled city of Kandor, and she's like, I went there once as a kid. So cool. Now they're all in stasis and in a bottle, and this sucks. And Superman's like, okay, so do you believe me that I'm your cousin now? Like, are we cool? And she's like, I believe that you believe it, but I still have my doubts. And basically this is just an extended talk scene of like, hey, look, Supergirl, you can stay here if you want because, it's technically like Krypton, right? And she's like, no, this is like a museum of Krypton. This isn't Krypton itself, but I appreciate it. But yeah, look, all I want is to figure out like, why am I here now? Like, what happened? What's going on? And Superman's like, well, here's the thing. My records in this like construct thing only go back 5 years, but I discovered that your ship was basically just orbiting around the yellow sun for all that time. So we actually, like, you got supercharged. It took me forever to get my powers going because had them like filtered through the atmosphere, but you got just raw stuff. So you are incredibly powerful. And also, when you came down to Earth, part of like your ship broke up and broke off, and it landed in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So that's something as well. And I haven't gone check it out, but maybe we can go check it out together. And Supergirl's like, no, I'd rather go by myself. And he's like, yeah, you're like super powerful and you don't have any control over your powers. So I really for the sake of the world and for yourself, I really don't want to leave you alone. She's like, I knew it. You don't trust me. The only reason here is you want me under your control. And she's like, no, dude, we're cool. We're cool. I'm trying to do what's best for everybody here. And she's like, here's the thing. If you don't let me go, you're going to have to fight me. And I'm a lot better with my powers than I was before. And then Superman's like, just go. And then Supergirl just flies off and she's like, I shouldn't have done that, but I needed to do that. Oh, this sucks. So she's just flying around the Atlantic Ocean because she didn't actually get the coordinates. She's just like, oh, it's in the Atlantic Ocean. How big could that be? Until finally she hears like a little voice calling out in Kryptonian. And she's like, is that Kal-El? No, that's something else. And she goes underwater and she's like, gotta hold my breath like I did out in space. If I breathe out down here, I will actually die. So she's holding her breath as she gets further down. She uses the energy in her body to actually make herself glow so that you can see down here in the deep ocean. And as she approaches this voice, she's attacked by a whole bunch of, as far as I can tell, super advanced leeches. And they start like grabbing around her, like, you've seen this kind of thing before, wink, wink. And they start like grabbing around her wrists and ankles. And then she starts fighting back, but she's like, oh, can't lose my breath. I'm just going to use my heat vision. And she blasts all of them away. But then one of them sneaks up and gets like around her neck, and then more and more get her. And she is eventually surprised to the point where she has to let out a gasp of air, and therefore her lungs fill with water, and she starts sinking to the bottom of the ocean. And then at that point, her eyes shoot open. She's like, what? Oh, okay. I guess I don't need to breathe anymore, as well as eat or sleep. I don't know what's going on with me. So she just gets up and walks along the ocean floor until she comes across what seems to be her own Fortress of Solitude, where it's calling out her name and speaking in Kryptonian. And she's like, oh boy, this is it. It looks like it's literally been built into the rock. And it doesn't seem like it has a door, but it has like a portal. And she walks through the portal and she's like, it was like an emotional sensation walking through that, a memory saying like, I'm home. I'm so happy to be here. And then a voice starts calling out saying like, oh, well, the voice that was originally calling to her starts trailing off. It just gets quieter. And then another voice chimes in saying like, oh, thank God you're here. That voice was driving me insane. Anyway, sorry about the leeches outside. Seems that the radiation on this place may have sent them into an evolutionary overdrive. But hey, at least we're both here now. And Kara makes her way through, and she's like, I know that voice. Where do I know that voice from? And as she steps into the main room, she's like, now, before you get to punching me, just know that all I ever wanted was to understand you. And thanks to this place, I finally do. And then Supergirl's like, ah, crap, you're Simon Tycho. And we see Simon Tycho from like issue 3 has gotten back a new gooey looking body. And he's like, hey, trust me, I've changed. Huh? He doesn't look like he changed, but that's where we leave off. I like it. I think that this is definitely a setup issue. This is definitely a thing of like, okay, we got her away from Silver Banshee and now we're going on to our own thing here. Mind you, I am still salty about her leaving Silver Banshee, but regardless, if we're having to do this, it's nice that now she has her own Fortress of Solitude and we're building up to that. Simon Tycho, he's been laid out several times that he was coming back. I'm not surprised at all by that. I think my only real qualm with the issue is that it does a lot of character development for Kara, and that's not the bad part. What it's failing at, though, is it's like this entire issue is like, or I'm going to fight you, Superman, and the Superman's like, all right, I'm not going to fight you, so just go. And then they did like the leech thing, but like the leech thing wasn't even a fight. The leech thing was just like oh, she finds out that she can breathe underwater now, or doesn't have to breathe more appropriately. So it just kept on teasing the thing of like, oh, there's going to be it. No, we're not going to. And maybe that was the point, but I don't know. It just felt a little bit blue balls for me. So overall, though, I give this issue, art is pretty good overall. I really do like the expressions most of the time. Clark looks a bit weird, but that's just because I have such a specific vision in mind for Clark that in Mahmoud Asrar's art style, it just is a little bit, he looks a bit young, I think. So overall, I'm going to give it a 7.5. I do like it. I'm not trying to bash it. It's mostly good. Just a few little things here or there that bring it down that little extra like half point.